Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Zan, and in this video I will show you how to use Context API in Next.js the correct way. And what I mean by the correct way, that I will tell you later on in the video. And for this video, I assume you already have basic knowledge of Next.js and also the Context API, because I will not be covering those topics in detail. I will just show you how to plug in these two things together. And as part of this tutorial, we will create a very basic app with two components. One component to display the current value of theme, and one component to update the value of theme. And this theme value is coming from the theme context. So let's get started. All right, so here I have this very basic Next.js app up and running in the browser. So if I switch back to VS Code, here I have all this boilerplate code that we get from Create Next App. So the first thing I would do is to play this module CSS file and then clear out the global CSS, and then in the page CSS, clear out all these h1 home, and then we can clear these imports as well and save it. And let's say, all right, perfect. So to get started with the context, the first thing we need is a folder called context. And then the next folder that we need is the components folder. All right, perfect. So in the context, let's create a file called theme provider.tsx, and let's write this boilerplate code. Perfect. And we don't need this React import over here. So the first thing that we need to do is to create the context using the create context API from React. So we will have the theme context equal create context from React. And let's say let's give it a value of null for now. And then the next thing we need is a state. So we will have theme and set theme equals use state from React, and let's give it a simple value for now. All right, so now what we need to do is to create a provider. So theme context dot provider like this, and we will need to pass on the children, and we will get these children in the props like this, and we can use built-in React children prop type, props will children like this, and we need to provide a value. So value equals theme and set theme. All right. So now if you're using JavaScript, this code will work fine. But if you're using TypeScript, you will get this error that we cannot assign this value to null. So to fix this error, we need to create a type for context. So to do that, what I will do is theme context type. And since you're passing these two values, what we will do here is theme is going to be a string, and set theme is going to be a function like this. And now here we need to define the type of this context. So like this. We're getting another error that argument of type null is not assignable to theme context type. So what we need is a default value for this type. So let's create a default value. And this default value will be of type theme context. And let's say by default, our theme is light. And set theme is just an empty function like this. And now we can pass on the default value to over here like this, and the error is gone. We can have only two types of themes. It's either going to be light or dark. So instead of general string, let's define theme type, and it is either gonna be light or dark, like this. And we can use it like this, and this is fine. And then in the state, we need to define a type here, theme type. And now since we can have only two values, light or dark, we cannot assign an empty string here. So by default, the theme is going to be light. So instead of defining a light over here and here as well, what I will do is I will just simply reuse this value. All right. One more thing I would like to do is to export this context. And also, let's create one simple method as well. Use theme context. So what it will do is it will simply return use context and then in context. So let's save it, and with that, our theme provider and theme context are ready to use. So what we need to do is to open our parent layout, because we want to use this context throughout our app. So what we will do is we will open the parent layout right here, and then over here we will simply wrap all those children with this theme provider like this and here. All right, perfect. So now whatever children will render here, they will have access to this theme provider. Now we should be getting an error in the app. So let's see. All right, perfect. So I was expecting this error, and now here is that correct way thing that I discussed in the beginning of this video. So in Next.js world, all the components are by default server-side rendered. So to use client-side features like use state, use context, or other React API, we need to convert those components into client-side components. So what most people do is, because we are referencing to this theme provider in this layout, they just simply convert this layout file into a client-side component, which is totally wrong. If you're doing that, you are basically converting your whole Next.js app into a React app. So if you want to develop a React app, why not just create a React project instead of Next.js? The reason is, when you convert, this is the parent layout, right? So when you convert this parent layout into a client component, that means all the children that this layout will render will also be rendered on the client side, not on the server side. So the whole app will become basically a React app. So I can also quickly show you what I mean. So if I convert it into client side, and now if I go here, now we're getting a new error. You're attempting to export metadata from a component marked as use client, which is disallowed. So we are trying to export this metadata, which is great Next.js feature for SEO optimization, but this can only be used on the server side, not on the client side component. So by doing this, we cannot use it. If we cannot use the use client directive here, then where can we use it? The answer is in the theme context file itself. If I add the use client here, now if we come back, boom, everything is working fine. Now we have access to our context throughout our app, and now we are ready to use this context in our component. Let's close these files, and in our components, let's create two components, one to display the current theme value and one to change the theme value. Let's create theme details.tsx or AFCE. All right, and we do not need this import React here. And let's create one other component, handle theme dot tsx and rafce, and let's remove this import. All right, so now let's go back to our homepage, and here let's use the React fragment like this. All right, and let's import our components here. So first thing is gonna be in details, and next thing is gonna be handle thing. Perfect. And if you go here, or we can see both components here. All right, so now let's first print the value of the current theme. So to do that, all we need is const. We only need the theme value. What we need to do is use theme context, and that's it. So now what I can do is current theme and theme. All right, so now we can convert this component into client. And there we go. We got the default value of light. And now if I come back to the context and scroll up, and if I change the default value to dark, we got the dark value here. All right, now let's switch back to light. We have implemented the theme details component. Now for the handle theme, let's do the same thing here. We need theme, set theme. And we will use the same use theme context. Oops, this is not a dot, this is a comma. And we need to convert it into client side. And let's create a button. And let's call it change theme. And now let's create a method called change theme. And it will return void. All right, set theme. And if theme equals light, then do dark, otherwise switch it to light. Now we will connect this method to onClick. All right, and it is looking good. So now if we come here and we click, there we go. So that is it for the context API. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And I hope you learned something in this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.